as we get ready for our first road course stop of the season. This is Laguna Seca. Seth Cole along with Sam Dyer. And Sam, we saw last week at Twin Ring Motegi, the Speedway guys kind of come to the forefront. Now the road course ringers get a chance.
Yeah, up front, we've got Riley Thompson, and he's looking like he could be the dominant car today based on his consistency on practice compared to everyone else. But there's a lot of other cars out here that have a chance. And the 28 machine of Nicholas Johnston, I mean, he was up there battling for the lead last week, and he's up here again. We'll see if he's got a chance to go for a win.
Guy that was kind of conspicuously missing from up near the top of the leaderboard was last week's winner, Andrew Wood. So it'll be interesting to see how he does here today, trying to keep his points lead. Obviously, with only one race in the books, the points are very, very close. The top 8 in the standings only separated by 10 points. So a big opportunity here this early on in the season for drivers to either gain or lose multiple points heading into next week.
Laguna Seca is one of those fun tracks. I mean, I love watching cars race here just because of the corkscrew. I mean, it's one of the more interesting aspects of this racetrack you don't really see anywhere else, and it's kind of iconic here. What are your thoughts on this race?
And definitely, to me, this is a track with a lot of passing zones. With the way that we see the low downforce, the draft come into play with these type of cars, a lot of passing zones with a lot of long straights. But yeah, I'm going to really be interested to watch these guys go through that corkscrew, because there's really nothing like it at any other road course. It's a very unique downhill left to right corner. And with the way that these cars are so low to the ground, they're really going to have to manage how much speed they carry through that, because they don't want to take it too fast, end up having a chance that either the car gets airborne or you dig that nose down into the pavement.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many passing zones, but at the same time, these cars are pretty wide and can take up a lot of track here. So we'll see how many people are going to be using their bumper to block people entering these corners and defending the low line.
Here's going to be an interesting area. See if any passes take place. This hard braking area known as the Andretti hairpin. I mean, especially on starts and possible restarts. You know, if they are going to be all nose to tail, be interesting to see who's going to be willing to take that corner maybe a little bit more aggressively than others.
Yeah, last week, because we were at Super Speedway, we were seeing cars being able to draft, and whoever got like a fantastic start up front really wasn't able to hold on. But here at a road course, if you get a good restart, you can really pull away from there.
Thing too, if you make a mistake here, you may not get the opportunity to be able to, have a comeback and be able to battle back for better positioning, because this is a road course. So if we have cars go off track, that's not necessarily going to bring out a full course yellow. It'd probably be a local yellow, but it would not have the entire field under caution. So kind of one of those situations where, yeah, you got to battle for position, but at the same time, make sure you keep your car under you.
Yeah, that is something to watch out for, as I saw a car having issues on the back stretch. It looks like it's the 55 machine. He was off track. It might have been some mechanical issues, but he already has major damage on his wing. And we're still on the pace lap, and we're already having issues with some of these cars. You hate to see that start for the 55 machine.
Hugo Galaz there, and I never thought we'd actually go to a replay screen under pacing, but that's what we're going to do here and see what happened to him. It's like this was coming up through, this was coming up through turn 6, I believe, heading up towards the Rahal Straight, and difficult to tell what went wrong there. He just kind of, it's like the car didn't even turn left, just went straight for a moment.
And we are going to be going green after that weird pace start. Riley Thompson's going to be taking a hard lead here, as Nicholas Johnson's going to be following suit.
Will be for third place. Thomas Brezzi there. Brent Jones.
Everyone keeping it pretty clean.
Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. I did not have the thing put correctly to live. That was actually a battle between, I believe, Nicholas Johnson and Mitch Walker that we were actually seeing there. And I don't know if it's showing it to you on your screen. Okay, now it updated. For a moment there, it actually had Hugo Galaz scored as the race leader, and I was thinking might have been some kind of a glitch. It might have been actually because he hadn't crossed the start-finish line yet, but now it has Thompson out in front.
Possibly could have been it, as the leaders are now hitting the corkscrew and now following down. Up front, Mitch Walker was able to get by and now up to third, and at fourth is going to be Connor Horn, who Connor Horn had some issues early on in last week's race, battling for the lead and then getting into an accident with our leaders.
Yeah, it was a battle for the lead between himself and I believe it was the 41 of Danny Roberts. Two of them were battling first and second. Two of them hooked bumpers, and next thing we know, both of them were in the garage area.
Now this is going to be a very long race, 60 laps to go all the way around for this race. As everyone is staying single file, not really any movements coming up around the track.
No, not at least up here near the front of the pack. And Andrew Wood, we look back here, running right now in the 9th position, the points leader coming into this race. Now, as far as the point situation for these guys he would have to worry about Nicholas Johnston, 3 points back, second in the standings. Mitch Welker running up there in the top 5 was 4th in points coming to this race, 6 points back. John Poole, the third in the standings, not in tonight's race. So he's going to drop quite a number of spots in the standings, undoubtedly, heading into next week.
Yeah, I think that's probably the shocker of this week, is not seeing John Poole III. Usually he's here on most of these races, but not able to make it.
Battle here for the 12th position. Cohen Evans trying to hold off Jason Brophy. And right behind Brophy, you got Danny Roberts. And right behind Danny Roberts, you got Will Roberts, who just went off course. Actually, I think that was Danny Roberts that just went off course there, coming out of turn 11. And that's another thing, too, is if you get off course, that is sand out there, and that is going to cause your car to lose a lot of momentum, and it's going to be very difficult to get your car back onto the racetrack, especially if you go way out there into that sand.
Yeah, momentum and also traction for a little bit. Getting dirt on those tires is going to make it a little bit difficult for the first couple of corners, getting back on track. Now, it's literally early to talk about this because we're only 3 laps in. But there is always strategy. I believe this race is going to be about 1, possibly 2 pit stop race. So we'll see who's going to be pushing their car as far as they can, if anyone's going to be short pitting.
One thing I'm noticing is some drivers are being able to ease on the brakes going into the corkscrew. Others are slamming on the brakes. Saw a lot of smoke coming out from behind Connor Horn's machine as he slammed on the brakes and entered that corkscrew. So tire management, I would think, would be a big thing for these drivers as well.
Yeah, that's completely true. Tire management is the key to keep your car clean. As watching up front, looks like Riley Thompson did not have a clean turn 2. He had to slam on the brakes just to get through there, which costed a lot of time and allowing Nicholas Johnston to move a little bit closer here on our leader.
And Johnston, of course, was up there inside of the top 3 pretty much for the second half of the Motegi race last week. Had a shot at the victory, came down between himself and the eventual winner, Andrew Wood, and those two were battling with each other pretty much all race long. If it wasn't for the win, it was earlier on for second place. So Johnston, obviously, bridesmaid last week, wants to be the bride this week, and saw right there Riley Thompson locking up the brakes, and that's going to allow Johnston to close in even more as his car looks a lot smoother.
Yeah, based on last lap, Johnston was running about 0.2 faster. So that's where he gained most of his time, was right there. So we'll see if he's able to gain more time here and who ran the faster lap. It looks like it was going to be Johnston who ran another faster lap than our leader and slowly gaining on Riley Thompson.
I ran maybe about a 10th quicker, somewhere in that vicinity. The top 3 are the only drivers that lap that ran a lap time in the 1 minute 7 second bracket. Mitch Welker visibly looks like he is starting to close in a little bit as well on these top 2.
Just taking a look to see if there's any battles brewing anywhere.
May have one going on for 9th place. Cohen Evans and Rodrigo Munoz right there battling for spots inside of the top 10. And that's about the closest battle we got up here towards the front.
It looked like the 119 machine of Hayden went around for a quick second, went for a little spin. Luckily didn't hit anything. So his car is clean, but got a little loose around turn 4, got into the dirt, and his car just snapped around.
Now in the 17th position. Nobody really in front of him, nobody really behind him. Kind of pretty open space for him right now, which could kind of help in terms of concentration, being able to hit your marks, but obviously doesn't help you in terms of picking up spots on the track.
Car that just had major issues and now is in pit road is going to be the 40 machine. Coming off the last corner, his car went smashing into the inside wall. Looks like he just went a little outside.
Whole front wing is gone.
Overcorrected and smashed it up.
Oh, gracious. Zach Buchanan, who had a bit of tough luck last week at Motegi. Wow. He got off the corner fine, then all of a sudden it just overcorrects back to the right.
Yeah, I mean, that overcorrection, it looked like he almost had it saved and just snapped on him.
Will pretty much, I would assume, yeah, that has ended Zach Buchanan's day. I mean, that hit, I don't see how he would have been able to continue on with that damage on the front end of his race car. And so it looks like back-to-back weeks for Zach Buchanan finishing in the garage area. But this battle for the lead, it is hot and heavy. There's only maybe a car length, maybe car length and a half separation between Thompson and Johnston now.
It seems like it's always turn two when Johnston just goes through that corner so much smoother and just gains so much more time. We'll see as they are coming up the hill, getting close to the corkscrew, if Johnston's able to get any closer.
Johnston seems to be good in the first half from the beginning of the track up to the corkscrew, and then down through Rainy Curve, turn 10, turn 11 is where it seems like Thompson opens the gap up a little bit. Don't rest on Mitch Welker. He is closing in as well. He's only about a second and a half behind race leader Thompson, and only about 9/10 behind Nicholas Johnston. And I think he's actually been running some of the faster lap times on track of these top three.
Yeah, that last lap, I mean, he was running 3/10 faster than the leaders. There might be putting some pressure with the two lead cars putting on each other. That's making them make some simple mistakes. It's at letting Welker catch up on them. But Welker is slowly gaining.
Thompson did not run, or actually he did run. He ran last week at Motegi, but he finished in the, I believe it was 15th position. Whereas in the meantime, Johnson and Welker finished respectively 2nd and 4th. So between these three drivers, obviously the guy that needs the points most would be the race leader, Riley Thompson. But Johnston and Welker, what I think they're doing right now is they're looking even further into the future, looking towards maybe championship weekend, realizing, hey, we got to rack up as many points as we can to remain in championship contention.
That there is. We got the battle for the lead that was being super close, now starting to break away as Riley Thompson starting to pull away from each other. There's also a battle for, looks like 4th brewing with Connor Horn and Liam Quinn.
Liam Quinn there in that purple and white behind Connor Horn. As two of them try and outbreak each other into turn 11, head for the front straightaway. And just behind them, you can see as well the 24 of Thomas Brezzi. Maybe try and close in here as it's going to be a pass here for the 4th position. Liam Quinn to the inside. Looks like Connor Horn didn't really put up much of a fight. And I think that's another thing that you're going to see here, especially early on. A lot of give and take. A driver says, all right, you got to run on me. You're a little bit faster. I'm not going to put up a fight, take a chance of wrecking myself and battling you.
I was looking at Connor Horn's car. I don't know what happened. I'm trying to look back to see. I think he might have some wing damage on his front wing, and that might have been why he coughed up that position as easy as he did.
Interesting. I don't know.
It was around lap 7, coming around corner number 6, got onto the rumble strips just a little too hard, and it totally ripped apart the left side of his front wing.
On board here with Brezzi trying to get by Connor Horn there for the 5th position. And at a road course, I mean, how much do you think that kind of damage that Horn has sustained, how much does that affect him in terms of how the car drives at a road course?
Oh, this is horrible damage to have. You need these wings to have the downforce and to be able to take these corners as strong as you want. He's not able to take them as fast as he wants. He's got to slow up way more. I don't even know if he really knows that he has this wing damage. I think he might be thinking that his car is just not driving right, because that is some major wing damage to have here at Laguna Seca.
You saw right there as he came off of turn 4 on that right-hander, you could clearly see from that camera angle that that entire left front wing is gone. Well, that's going to be something that Connor Horn's going to have to put up with for the remainder of this race, and still a long ways to go, nearing 50 laps remaining, only 10 laps completed. And that battle for the lead, it kind of went away, but it might come back because the race leaders are catching up to slower traffic. That is Hugo Gallas just up ahead, and I believe as well Scott Taylor in the 95. So obviously I would hope that those guys would get out of the way of the race leaders, but it could certainly help to bunch these top three back up.
Yeah, I believe that these two machines, the 55 and the 33, were the ones that had an incident during the pace lap, and I believe that's why they are so far behind. They had to come into the pits, get some damage fixed up. But we'll see as our leaders are running some screaming laps right now.
You're right, it is the 33 there of Mike Hurley ahead of the 55 of Hugo Gallas. They are in danger of both going a lap down. We do have a car that I think made an unscheduled pit stop, the 95 of Scott Taylor. He is currently -1, but he has returned back to the racetrack. And we had another car that I believe is still sitting on pit road. I can't tell if he's got damage or not, but that's the 59 of Evan Adams. And he is still sitting there on pit lane.
Evan Adams does have damage. I believe he might have been also involved with that early incident on the pace lap.
Adams last week, I believe, was top 10. Yeah, he was 10th last week at Motegi, so obviously this is going to hurt him points-wise. As right now, best battle on track is actually taking place near the latter half of the top 10. It would be around the 8th position, where Danny Roberts is starting to make some moves up towards the front. He was outside the top 10 around 12th, 13th about maybe 6-7 laps ago, and now he's up to 9th trying to reel in Cohen Evans for the 8th position.
A car that's having a rough time right now is going to be the 88 machine. The car got around with him at the corkscrew, and now he took it a little wide on the last corner and turned 11. I'm gonna continue watching to see if he's got any other issues, but he is struggling to get around the corner at the moment.
Jason Brophy there in the 88 car, and we'll take a look here at his little spin through the corkscrew. This is, right there. I mean, this particular corner is so unique. There's just so many ways that it can trip you up.
Continue.
Oh, go ahead.
I gotta say, the three cars that I've seen right on top of one another has to be the battle for 9th right now. With the number 3 machine, the 32, and the 09. These three cars have been right next to one another all race long, and they haven't split up at all, but they aren't really gaining on anyone either.
Zabal Valenzuela currently in that 9th position. Last week's winner, Andrew Wood, now up into the top 10 in 9th. And Rodrigo Munoz there in that 11th position. Now, you mentioned that you think that it's 1, maybe 2 pit stops for these guys. If we look here at our track info, outside temperature 78 degrees, but the track temp is 102 degrees, which says to me that's going to definitely start blistering these tires. So, is there any advantage, do you think, for any of these guys that are in battles with each other on pitting early?
Pitting early is always a great strategy to see. I mean, these guys have always been just pulling away. As I was watching the battle for 5th, I mean 6th, and saw one of the cars just pull off to the side, and I think it would have been a lap car. But yeah, pitting early, I've seen it on most road courses. Short pitting gains you at least a second or more just compared to other cars on their tires. But just based off the lap times that I've been watching the leaders run, I don't think for the leaders it's going to change anything. But for the battle for 9th between these three cars, I think short pitting is a strategy to throw out if you want to gain a couple positions.
Run going on right now for the 1 of Kite Brommersbach, currently in the 6th position, coming off a 5th place run last week at Motegi. And not too far behind him in 7th place is where we find Cohen Evans. who finished in 6th, I believe it was last week. So a couple of guys doing a good job keeping the momentum going from good runs last week.
A little bit of a battle brewing up for second place now. Mitch Welker is caught up to Nicholas Johnston.
He has, and it's kind of interesting that he actually has caught Nicholas Johnston, because if you look at the lap times last time by, of the 3, Welker had the slowest lap. So interesting that he was actually able to gain ground on Johnston there.
It might have been the entry into turn 1 that maybe affected him, but Welker's been slowly gaining. I mean, these 3 cars have been just spreading out, coming back to one another, kind of like the accordion. They just aren't really spreading too far away where they can't see each other, but they have gotten close enough to almost pass one another as well.
They've been the only 3 that consistently 15 laps in have still been running lap times in the 1 minute 7 second laps range, because Liam Quinn has the fastest lap after that, 4th place running, but that's a 1:08.446. So definitely a lot slower than the top 3. A couple of times those top 3 will hit 108s, but for the most part, they've been in the high 107s as we got a car off course here trying to get out of the way of the leaders. I believe that might have been Will Roberts in the 39. It was.
I think he was just trying to get out of the way for the leaders, and also might have just taken the corner just a little bit too wide, but it's still nice just to see him get out of the way of the leaders.
Roberts finished 7th last week. Certainly not the run he was looking for here today, coming off that top 10. Right now, first car 1 lap down in the 15th position.
And the other battles around the race, battle for 7th with Danny Roberts and Cohen Evans.
I think that's actually a battle that just finished up. I think Danny Roberts made the pass just moments ago on Cohen Evans for 7th place. He's been actually really doing a good job picking up positions here after the field got spread out. He was outside of the top 10, and he has now worked his way up almost to a top 5. He's only about 2.5 seconds back, well, actually 2.7 seconds back from Kike Brommersbach to maybe try and take 6th place away. If he's able to maybe gain some track position with short pitting, or even just, whenever he makes his pit stop, look for this guy to maybe be someone to deal with up there inside of the top 5 in the closing stages.
Yeah, I mean, he's been moving very well. I mean, he started the race off at 19th position and now moved all the way up to 7th. That is a major move up from anyone else out here.
A couple of drivers that are still sitting on pit row. The 33 of Mike Hurley is on pit lane. I think he actually just had his car pushed behind the wall. Hayden Paxtorius is actually out of the race, I believe. 6 laps down, but he's just sitting on pit lane right now. So as things stand, we currently have a total of 13 cars on the lead lap, as Robert Hall in the 30 was just put -1. Surprise you at a track as big as Laguna Seca that we've only 17 laps in got so many cars that are a lap down?
I think the biggest surprise is the fact that these guys are just struggling so much. I mean, it looks like some of it's simple mistakes, and other of it has just been, we've seen some cars overcorrect, and we've seen others just lose it on the corkscrew. There's certain areas on this track that it's just difficult to keep your car on track if you're pushing it too much. That might be what some of these drivers are doing, or it could be the temp of the track that's just making these tires go away from some of these drivers so quick.
The interesting thing is it's more the drivers battling the track more than battling each other, because outside of that incident we had under pacing to start this race, all incidents that have taken place since then have really just been driver errors, and they've been the ones to pay for it. It really hasn't been contact between one driver and another.
Yeah, I think the car, though, that has had the biggest loser has got to be Connor Horn. Again, had a possible chance of having a very good finish here, and with that wing damage that he had earlier on, he's got to wait to see if anyone else makes mistakes, but he has dropped all the way down to 12th and has the possible chance of getting a lap down if the way that the leaders are running compared to his lap times.
He's just now heading over to what would be turn 6. Actually, no, this is turn 5. He'll be hitting turn 6 here. And Riley Thompson, he is just now entering into, I believe that's turn 3. So only about 3 corners ahead of race leader Riley Thompson is Connor Horn. So that says to me, especially if you look at the lap times too, Thompson right now running still in the 107s, 107.5 that last time by. Connor Horn ran a 108.6. So he is over a second slower than Thompson out in front.
And we're on lap 19, coming to when the leaders cross the line at the 1/3 marker of this race. Is there anything about this race? I mean, besides the fact that we've seen so many cars having issues with this track, are there any other surprises that you're seeing?
I think the only other surprise that I'm seeing really is I almost wondered, some of these corners are wider than others, and I almost wondered if we'd see some drivers maybe try and, enter a corner a little bit differently, try and gain some ground that way. But for the most part, everybody seems to be running the exact same entry into a corner, the exact same exit. It's kind of like a cookie cutter road course where there's really just one lane you got to take. Nobody is willing to experiment, go outside the box and see if they can gain time on a different entry or different exit.
Something that I didn't notice until now is Mitch Welker is having some major issues. And I'm going back to see what happened because his wing looks like it's all jacked up, and it might have been because of a rumble strip like Connor Horn had.
Oh, he lost a lot of ground, that is for sure. He is now...
It's turn 6. That's just eating these front wings up because that's what killed Connor Horn, and it just killed Mitch Welker back on lap 18.
What happens with him? Oh, yeah, boy, you can see it. And that's the thing. It's that downhill slope there. Into the grass, into that dust.
That's pushing you up into coming up to the corkscrew. That corner... Cars are just hitting that rumble strip and not knowing it is going to be destroying their cars. As Nicholas Johnson's going to be coming into the pits now.
You saw, on that camera angle we showed there for the replay, I mean, you saw that the wing, as opposed to Connor Horn, where it ripped the entire wing off, that wing is still attached and it's sticking up in the air, which is really going to hurt that car of Mitch Welker aerodynamically.
And Thomas Bressi is also coming into the pits. I think this is around the time that we're going to be seeing cars coming in with the track temp. I don't think we're going to be seeing many cars pushing it for a one stopper. I'm expecting to see Riley Thompson come in very soon.
It's kind of interesting there. I was wondering if maybe we would have some drivers try and stretch it to the halfway point, lap 30, to be able to make sure they knew they were going to be able to do it on one stop. But to your point, maybe some guys thinking, nope, coming into this with a two-stop strategy, and we're going to stick to that game plan.
Just looking through to see if any other cars are coming into the pits.
A couple of other guys that I believe have been on pit road. Danny Roberts has been on pit road, as has Connor Horn a few laps ago, and I believe, Riley Thompson is now on pit lane along with Mitch Welker. That turns the race lead over to the 4 of Liam Quinn.
Mitch Welker was able to get that front wing fixed up. So luckily the damage wasn't significant enough for him to lose as much time as Connor Horn did. So he's able to still keep up here with the top drivers, and we'll see when Liam Quinn is going to be coming to the pits.
Oh, while Liam Quinn leads right there, you just saw what could have been a possible exchange for the lead. Nicholas Johnston was able to get around turns 1 and 2 before Riley Thompson came off the access road. And right now, Johnston is in P2. When Quinn makes a pit stop, it would move the 28 to position number 1.
That is a huge change of positions. And I was just watching Mitch Welker, and he spins around. Same spot that he had issues with hitting the rumble strips. This time around, he spins around and loses so many more positions because of it.
Already down to 8th position now, and fortunately for him, that car did not get stuck there. Oh, there's a car spinning right in front of him. It's hard to tell who that was. I think that might have been Robert Hall in the 30 that actually went around right in front of him in the corkscrew. Oh, it was not Hall. Back and see if we can find out who that was.
Don't know. Number 1 machine.
I believe it was Scott Taylor. Scott Taylor in the 95.
Scary spots. No
Right.
one's safe with this corkscrew.
If we can take a look first at the incident with Welker, and then we will look at the incident that involved Scott Taylor.
And Liam Quinn is now coming to the pits, relinquishing the lead to Nicholas Johnston once he comes around.
Here's where Mitch Welker ran into his issue. Boy, that car hit the rumble strip, and it looked like the car got a little airborne there. Got light and spun around on him. And you'll see as he's getting his fired here comes Scott Taylor passing him. The both of them enter into the corkscrew. The 95 around almost collected up Mitch Welker there. So two incidents in a very near area of each other.
And Mitch Welker looking like he's going to be right behind Liam Quinn and Andrew Wood. So he still has a chance to battle it out for third position. But man, all that spin, also the wing damage has really pushed him back. He's got to battle very hard with these next two cars if he's going to get third back.
He's got Quinn and Wood just ahead of him in third and fourth. He's now over 15 seconds back from race leader, which is now Nicholas Johnston. So, with Riley Thompson losing the race lead, obviously these guys have planned on a two-stop strategy, which means we got one more pit stop coming up somewhere, I would assume, within the lap 40 to 45 lap range, somewhere I would say. I mean, do you think Riley Thompson noticed that the fact that Johnston pitting one lap earlier was able to get the lead away from him? Now do you think he's strategizing to maybe try and come to pit road a lap sooner than Johnston?
I mean, he possibly could come in a lap sooner or try to come in the lap that Johnston comes in and try to come in the pits at the same time. But, I mean, with being one lap further, he could push it. We'll see how this goes, but I think Riley Thompson has a chance to catch Johnston just based on the lap times on that first stint that we were seeing these cars run. We'll have to wait and see as they are coming up to the corkscrew.
The first guys we will probably see. Oh, we got a spinner. That's Johnston from the lead, and he gets hit by Riley Thompson.
That it changes everything. Holy moly.
They keep going. Johnston's still out in front. Thompson's still in second, but there's definitely got to be some front-end damage sustained on the 56.
The 56 has major wing issues.
And he's on pit road.
The loss of the right wing and the whole entire left side is jacked up. This changes everything, but how much damage does Nicholas Johnston have on his machine?
I mean, the shot that he took was to the driver's left side. It didn't look like he got hit at any area towards the front tires. More importantly, that left front, so he might be okay. He might have basically just gotten hit broadside. The big brunt of the hit obviously went to Riley Thompson because he hit with the front.
We're going to have to wait and see what lap times Johnston runs. See if this is affecting his aero at any point. The good thing is that he didn't have any wing damage, so that's helping him out a ton. But it is so disappointing for Riley Thompson, who could have had a chance to come back into this.
He's on pit road right now, still getting the car serviced. He has fallen down to the 10th position, now to 11th, now to 12th. I mean, I think it's pretty clear to say that he is not going to win this race, and what a tough break for a guy that led the entire way up to the first round of pit stops and was up there in the second position at the time. I would also worry in regards to Nicholas Johnston about his tires, because he locked up those brakes pretty good, went for quite a slide, and a good portion of that was on the racing surface. So that might have worn his tires down a little bit more than he would have liked.
Yeah, he was part of that first group of cars that came into pit, so it could be affecting his strategy. He already came in when it was lap 20, but we saw some of these cars go out for longer than 20 laps. So he might just keep to his strategy of pitting here on lap 20. He should be all right, but he might be losing quite a bit of time here with the lap times that Quinn and Walker are running.
Right now, fastest car on track is the third place running Mitch Welker, who is, you can see there, closing in on Liam Quinn. That is a battle for the second position. Also want to point out real quickly, too, that Connor Horn is up to the 5th position. Now, he's been out for 14 laps on his set of tires, but if he's able to go a little bit further, far enough, he might be able to make it on one more pit stop, and what's been a bit of a struggling day for him actually could still turn into a top 5.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I'm wondering if Nicholas Johnston with the lap times, because he's not running on the first stint at this point, they were running 107 still to 108s. And I'm wondering if he's going to continue to be running 109s. If he's going to keep on running 109s, he will not be keeping this lead by the time that this race is over.
Absolutely not. I mean, the guys that are trying to chase him down are running anywhere from about half a second to almost a full second if you're looking at the lap times Mitch Welker is laying down. So certainly, if you're Nicholas Johnston, you cannot be running conservatively right now. I mean, the gap at this current point in time is only about 9 seconds from third place up to first place, and we've seen that a gap like that can easily be closed up if a driver makes a mistake.
On my screen, Coney Evans was having his car blinked out for a second. I don't know what happened to him. If he's having issues.
Yeah,
I think he's having connection issues, and so
he is. I think he may have actually fallen out. Yeah, he's losing positions. His car is not appearing on the grid. Another driver that was having a little bit of connection issues for a brief moment there was Andrew Wood, the points leader, right now running in the 7th position, though. And with the fact you got Nicholas Johnston leading this race, obviously his points lead is in peril. But if Wood doesn't really consider himself that much of a road course racer, I think he'd be very happy to get out of Laguna Seca with a top 10.
A top 10, I mean, possibly a top 5 with Riley Thompson's issues and any other issues that possibly could happen. I mean, we're coming up to the halfway marker of this race, and so much has happened. We've seen so many cars having issues on track with not being able to stay on course to spinning out and hitting someone. I mean, there is still so much time that he could possibly get a top 5 here.
A little bit of a through the field here, show you the drivers that are on the lead lap. There's only 11 of them. So right now you got Nicholas Johnston. He's currently out in front. Liam Quinn, he's got a rear deck lid possibly filling up with Mitch Welker. That is still a brewing battle for second. Thomas Brezzi right now runs in the 4th position, and he's got Connor Horn breathing down his neck in 5th. Kite Brommersbach right now by himself in the 6th position. Points leader Andrew Wood currently runs in 7th. Danny Roberts was making a charge up there, but after the pit stop, he's kind of stalled out, sits there in the 8th position. Rodrigo Munoz currently in the 9th spot. Cristobal Valenzuela, he currently rides in 10th. And the last car on the lead lap, who actually had a little bit of an issue early on as well himself, is Jason Brophy in the 88.
Just looking at the lap times comparatively from our leader to the 2 cars that are chasing him down, it's about a 5, like you were saying earlier, it's about a half second to a full second. And at one point when that whole entire accident with Riley Thompson happened, they were about 10.5 seconds front of 3rd and 4th at the time, and now that is shrinking. It's less than 8 right now.
Let's play 20 questions. It could be really one of 3 things that's slowing him down. Either he's playing it conservative, the tires are worn down from his spin, or he may have some aero damage from the hit he sustained courtesy of Riley Thompson. Which one do you think it is?
I think it's a mixture of things. I think it's a mixture of the aero and tire issues. And also, I've been watching him run, and he hasn't been running the cleanest of lap times like he was previously. He's been running slightly off course, a couple of corners here and there, which is making him lose time. And so he needs to start running just clean laps, get into a rhythm, and I don't think that he's fully gotten back into the rhythm that he had earlier.
And most drivers came to pit road around laps 21 to 23, so if we take lap 23 as the possible furthest that these drivers could go, he's still got to stay out there for another 6-7 laps in order to be within that fuel window to make it the rest of the way.
Yeah, he's still got to keep on going and trucking it along. I think he still can possibly push his tires that far out if he just starts running a little bit more consistently and not running off the course. He's got a good chance of keeping his tires on his car and not losing any more time. As I'm actually going back to 4th place, Connor Horn is getting on top of Thomas Breezy.
That was a battle we saw brewing, and this is actually really interesting because Connor Horn has older tires than Brezzi does. 7-lap difference between Brezzi and Horn, and still Horn is running some good lap times and able to get up here and battle with a guy that was to pit road 7 laps later than he was.
Yeah, a couple corners back, you saw that Brezzi was putting his tires slightly off. I mean, it was just slightly off, but if your tires are hitting the dirt in any fashion, you're losing time to the guy that's not getting off course.
I mean, Connor Horn, we know he has that issue where the left wing was off of his race car. Looks like it actually has been repaired back on there, so that's probably why his lap times are looking a little bit better.
Yeah, we'll be watching. If you fully lose one of your side wings, they will repair it during your pit stops. You won't be losing too much time, but you will lose time on course if you keep on running with half a wing. And luckily it was repaired for Connor Horn, and here we are seeing him battling out for 4th place.
Obviously, with the older tires, he'd have to be a little bit more careful of how hard he charges these corners, but I'm kind of looking at the fact that we're probably going to be seeing him on pit road within the next 1 to 2 laps, which would, I think, be his last pit stop of the day. And there goes Berezzi around from the 4th position. He just lost it right in front of Connor Horn. No contact or anything.
That's been the same corner that I was talking about during that last lap where he just was getting off the course. And there he goes, spinning around. I don't know if it's that corner, just he doesn't feel comfortable there or what's going on, but he has just been having issues with that one corner for the last couple of laps.
It was the exit of turn 3 going into turn 4. He got his right or his left sides off course just a bit, and I think that loss of traction is what spun his machine around. So Thomas Brezzi, he only drops back to 5th place, but what was looking like was going to be a pretty good battle for that position, all of a sudden it's gone because Connor Horn has checked out.
Just looking at the cars that are running right now, looks like about 15 cars are still on the track running. So from 16th all the way on back, they are no longer connected to the race just due to accidents or just connection issues.
Right now, 10 of those 15 are still on the lead lap. Jason Brophy just got put a lap down moments ago by race leader Nicholas Johnston. We're still looking here at this battle for 2nd place going on, and we are also awaiting what would, I guess we could call the beginning of the 2nd round of pit stops when Connor Horn eventually brings his machine to pit lane. Everybody else, though, they'll still be out there for another 7-8 laps before they come in for their final pit stop.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Connor Horn's going to push how far he's going to push his tires. I mean, when was the last time that he came into the pits?
Last time that he came into the pits was back on lap 14. He's been out there for 21 laps on this set of tires, and looks like he's going to be out at least another lap as he passed the pit road entry. And I would be really interested to see here because he is quite a ways back from the top 3, but if he comes to pit road, gets fresh tires with the lap times he's been laying down here with old tires, I think he definitely at least would finish this race in the 4th position.
Yeah, I mean, 4th looks really good if he continues to run the pace that he is, and if he's able to push his tires as far as they can go. Another thing to look out for Liam Quinn and Mitch Walker is they're starting to see the leader now with the lap times that they're running compared to the leader. Whenever they get on top of the hill, they're starting to slowly see the glimpse of Nicholas Johnston.
3.5 seconds now. Welker up to the race leader Johnston. Welker actually just made the pass on Quinn about a lap and a half ago. And they are now on the same straightaway as Johnston, the leader. And the lap times, we continue to look at them, and it continues to be about a half second faster. Welker over Johnston.
I mean, if these 3 cars up front are able to run as clean as they are or have been running, they should stay still in these positions. But if any of them slip up, Connor Horn has still been running quick laps. I mean, Connor Horn's running faster than our leader right now.
Yes, he is. If you look here at our top 5 right now, fastest lap is second place Mitch Welker. Second fastest is fifth place Thomas Brezzi. Third fastest, fourth place Connor Horn. Fourth would be the race leader, and then fifth would be Liam Quinn. So definitely that's why you see that Welker is starting to close in. Now, I should mention as well, as far as when our top 3 came to pit road, Nicholas Johnston was the first one to hit pit lane. He's been out there for 15 laps. Mitch Welker pitted the lap after. Liam Quinn the lap after that. So would that play a factor into maybe someone staying out a little bit longer? Or do you think that all 3 of them would maybe come to pit road on the same lap?
I think all 3 of them are going to stay on their strategies of pitting on different laps compared to Nicholas Johnston. Just stick with the strategies you have. But Connor Horn is coming in now for his pit stop.
He just around 24 laps to go. He's going to come to pit lane. He'll be right on the window. It's about 23 laps. We've seen these drivers stretch it. And he'd be right on the window of being able to make it the rest of the way. Looking here at Nicholas Johnston, he just made a pass on, I believe, that was a lap machine.
That's the 55 machine.
I think it might have Hugo Gallas, who is already was a lap down, now 2 laps down. And if you look very carefully right there through the corkscrew, you saw in the same shot as Johnston was leaving the corkscrew, 76 was entering. We got a car that's off the pace there. I think that might be the 39 of Will Roberts. Yeah.
Will Roberts was not having a good time in his car. He's just trying to get it out of the way, but also stay on track, and just thought it was better to dump it.
Gala is there on pit road in the 55 car as the battle for the lead is now closing in at less than 2 seconds separation.
Just compared to the lap times from that last lap, it was about a half a second again. So with the way that they're tracking, we're probably going to see this pass might happen while the cars are on pit road.
Saw pit road play a factor into our first lead change of the day when Johnston took the lead away from Riley Thompson. Pit road could play a factor here into our second lead change. Mitch Welker's going to have to first deal with the first car 1 lap down. That is Cristobal Valenzuela, currently in the 10th position. If he can make short work of him, as we got another car on pit road there. I believe that. Yep. Johnston's going to pit from the lead with 22 laps to go.
It's going to be him possibly short pitting, trying to get some of this repair done, and then have fresher tires to then run the fastest laps that he can. He hasn't been able to run a 107 since the start of the race. Johnston was running some quicker lap times earlier on in the race, and now, ever since the accident they had, he has not been running the 107s. He's been running 108s to 109s. So we'll see if he's able to get back to running 107s and possibly gain some time from this pit stop as he is finally getting off the track. We'll see who's next to come on the pits.
If he can get that car back up to about 100%, he and Welker back during the beginning stages of this race were running very similar lap times. So if they come out in the same vicinity as each other, boy, that's going to be an interesting battle.
It really is. It's going to be good to see. I don't think Liam Quinn really has the pace to stick up with these guys. I mean, yeah, he's proven that he does have the pace, but these lap cars have really made it hard for him to stick with Welker right now.
Welker's going to stay out a little bit longer. Now, on the last round of pit stops, Welker stayed out only 1 lap longer than Johnston did. This time around, he's going to stay out at least 2 laps longer.
Well, also, Johnston came in and pitted around a lap 38, 37 around there. So he pitted earlier than I thought he was going to come in, while Welker could still stay out here for another lap if he wanted to, or 2.
Talked about how Thomas Brezzi was running some really good lap times. Well, he is now on pit lane from what was the fourth position. The one of Kite Brommersbach just passed him for fourth. He stayed out on track, so Brezzi making his final stop of the day. Andrew Wood, the points leader, also coming to pit lane in the 32. For all these guys, they're now within the window to be able to make it the rest of the way. This is what we call the money stop. And Welker stays out another lap.
So does Liam Quinn. He's also staying out for another lap. So we'll see how these guys there. This is around the time that they pitted last time. Around the same time frame.
Look at the lap times. I mean, 19 laps out for Welker, 18 laps out for Quinn, and both of them ran in the low 107s again. A 107.5 for Welker, a 107.3 for Quinn.
Which is really surprising because they were passing lap cars when they were doing that. You would think when they were passing lap cars, they would lose time, but it looks like they were running even faster with lap cars around them.
Oh, we mentioned top of the program, a lot of these straightaway areas, maybe a little bit of draft coming into play with those lap times?
Oh, possibly, but also if you're drafting with these cars, you got to slope a lot faster coming into these corners. I think it just might be rhythm where they're finally getting into those rhythm spots that they're feeling comfortable in. As Welker is starting to get by, it looks like he's going to be... Who is this car? But that's Thomas Brezzi.
Brezzi, yeah, I think it is.
As we also see Will Roberts. Excuse me, that's going to be Robert...
That's Danny Roberts.
It's one of the Roberts. Came in.
Right. Pitting from what was about the 7th position. And that actually puts him a lap down. Right now, with Welker out still there on track and having Brezzi behind him, all but 6 cars are on the lead lap. That will obviously change when Welker and Quinn finally do come to pit lane. And as I'm looking at the lap times right now between Welker and Johnston, Welker is running in the 107s, 108s. That last time by, 106.6 for Nicholas Johnston. So those fresh tires definitely helping him to turn some really good lap times.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and look at some of Johnston's lap times that he's been running throughout this race so far. Since he's pitted, he's been running around the low 08s and mid 08s. But I still haven't seen him run a 107, which that's the lap time that he needs to be running if he's going to stay with Welker or even stay in front of Welker.
Tim Quinn from second place on pit road with 18 laps to go. Been a solid outing for him. He's been up in the top 5 all day and right now poised for maybe a shot at the podium. And so now the only drivers we're really waiting on that are still on the lead lap or at least up in the top 10 are the race leader Mitch Welker, 4th place Kite Brommersbach, 6th place Rodrigo Munoz, and 8th place Cristobal Valenzuela.
I think we're probably going to be seeing Mitch Welker come in the next lap or two. I'd be surprised if he tries to stay. I mean, he could stay out longer with the lap times that he is running. It looks like he's not even losing any time with these lap times, any tires at all with these lap times he's running. It's really impressive to see these lap times.
Stay out another one. He's only been out there 21 laps. We know these drivers can go at least 23 laps on their fuel. That's the latest we saw a driver pit on the first round of stops. And to your point, yeah, the lap times are not tapering off at all. Still a 107 lap time, and compare that to Nicholas Johnston that last time by, he ran a low 108.
I mean, we can see where Mitch Welker and Johnston are running because Johnston is just a little bit ahead of Quinn, as previously Welker was about a second ahead of Quinn. So I think this pass for the lead happened under this little stint of pit stops and Welker just staying out.
Right now, the gap between Welker back to Johnston is just a little under 30 seconds. When Welker finally comes to pit road, what do you think? Does Liam Quinn with the fresh tires here have enough of space between himself and Welker that he can maybe if not pass for the lead, be within the vicinity of Welker when Welker finally makes his pit stop, as we got a car off track there. I think that might have been Robert Hall in the 30. Yeah, it was.
I mean, compared to the fact that Mitch Welker is running a 107.5 compared to Johnston's 108.5, a second faster, I don't think that if Quinn's staying behind Johnston, he's losing time.
I agree. I mean, both of them, Welker and Quinn, were running in the 107s before Quinn came to pit road. But yeah, definitely losing time if Quinn is not going to be able to pass that 28 on a slower machine that I believe is a lap down. They'll try and make quick work. I think that actually might be... I thought that might be the 30 of Robert Hall, but it is not. I think it actually was Danny Roberts in the 41. Yep. And he's going to move out of the way. Very courteous there. And this should be the lap that Welker hits pit road, I would think. It's lap 23, and here he is.
I'm expecting him to have at least 2, maybe 3-second lead on both Nicholas Johnston and Liam Quinn. Just based off of the lap times themselves, I mean, he was running a second faster than the other 2 cars for about 2 laps. So it's interesting to see that this might have been some aero damage from that earlier wreck that Nicholas Johnston had. That's causing him to lose so much time compared to what our leader is running right now.
Did mention Kite Bramersbach actually did pit the lap earlier. Still runs in 5th. We're now waiting on Rodrigo Munoz and Cristobal Venezuela to hit pit lane as Welker is down and away. And if you're looking up at the top of the screen, it shows the interval between the top 3. And you can see it's down to a little less than 5 seconds. Well, actually, it is a little more now than 5 seconds. Pretty sizable gap there for Welker leaving pit road, under 15 laps to go.
Yeah, Liam Quinn is just losing time right now by following Nicholas Johnston. And I'm expecting Liam to make this pass at some point. But I don't think if he doesn't make this pass soon, his chances for the win are out the window.
Question is, can he make the pass? I mean, I haven't really seen him get right up there to the back bumper of the 28, so I don't know if he necessarily, if he's nervous trying to figure out where to make the pass, or if he has a car capable of making a pass.
Yeah, I think it just might be that he's catching him in the wrong spots. The only time I'm seeing him catch him is at the corkscrew, which isn't a spot that you really want to make passes. It's a really risky spot. But here he is, close, but Johnston's just making the defensive move of blocking that inside line, so there really isn't any space for Liam Quinn to make a move as he continuously is blocking that inside line throughout almost every corner, forcing Quinn to try to make a move on the outside like he is right now.
And he's going to get at least maybe to the right rear quarter panel, but not going to be able to make the move there through 1 and 2. And this goes back to what I was saying, where it kind of looks like early on everybody was running the same entry, the same exit. Nobody really was experimenting. And if Quinn had actually done a little bit of experimenting there, we might possibly have seen him be able to make a pass on Johnston.
I think it's just Johnston racing so defensively right now. He is blocking every possible chance he has. If Liam Quinn is trying to make a move at any point, he's got to try to make it on the outside, which is very difficult here at this track.
No doubt about it. As we are less than 15 to go, Mitch Welker out there now on fresh tires and laying down more blistering lap times. Barring him having any kind of issue, whether it be mechanical, whether it be mentally messing up a corner, right now I think he basically has this race locked up. But there's still 13 laps to go, and we've seen a lot of drivers up towards the front run into issues. I mean, heck, we saw the top 2 wreck each other there with Johnston and Thompson about the midway point of this race.
Liam Quinn is so fed up with Johnston right now. He is trying everything, especially on that last corner. He was just bumping him, trying to move him in any way possible, but just not able to.
Right now is the best battle on track. You got Connor Horn up there in the 4th position. All drivers should be good to go on fuel now, as Rodrigo Munoz was on pit lane. We're still waiting for Cristobal Venezuela to come to pit lane. That would complete everyone's pit stop, their final pit stop of the day. But you got Kite Bramersbach currently riding in 5th. Thomas Brezzi, despite his spin over in turn 3, still in 6th. Venezuela will have to pit, so more than likely that might move Andrew Wood up to 7th and Rodrigo Munoz maybe up to 8th, depending on how long the three's pit stop is. But right now, we've only got 8 drivers still on the lead lap as Munoz went a lap down with his pit stop.
Seeing a car in the pits right now, the 88 machine. It looks like he has some wing damage, as yes, he does. Losing it on the famous corner number 6, the one that has eaten up a lot of cars. On the exit of corner number 6, loses it, throws his car into the wall, and now is in pit road trying to fix his car up. Corner number 6, eating up another car.
Yeah, it's been the trouble spot all day. We'll see if we can go back and look at the replay of that. But this battle here for second, it's kind of too good to go back and look at a replay right now. Looks like the one corner where Liam Quinn has been comfortable trying to throw it in has been into turn 1, but that's the longer way around the track. He has not been able to clear the 28, only been able to get alongside.
Yeah, we'll see if oh, it looks like Quinn's putting it in. He's finally putting his bumper up below. But it might not be the corner. If he can keep it on the outside, he's not able to. As you're going to see Johnson continuously block inside, outside. Not going to be able to block the inside that time around, as Quinn's going to be trying to put it side by side. Not able to get the run off, as Johnson's going to continue it. Johnson, you're going to see here, he's going to throw his car into the low side, block the wall, so there's no space for Quinn there. He's just been doing that every single lap. And there, that could have been a chance. Oh, a little overdrive. Quinn could not get back onto the gas quick enough. And we're still battling. These two, they're non-stop, and they're just great battles again, where Johnson's in the middle of it for another week.
It's so aggressively going on right now. You kind of get the feeling it's going to end with both drivers off track. I mean, there's been near contact a couple of times. Oh, and there goes Liam Quinn around.
Quinn needs to get going now, because he cannot lose that much time, as Connor Horn could possibly, with the lap times he's running, they're not fast enough, but Quinn, if he wasn't able to get going, could have lost even third. But the amazing battle that there was right there, I don't think there's enough time for Quinn to come back. But that is so frustrating when you have the faster car and you're not able to get by the slower machine because of the great defensive blocking by Johnston.
No doubt about it. I mean, the good news for him was when he spun out, he was about 24 seconds ahead of 4th place Connor Horn. He's still about 15 seconds ahead, so he was still able to hold on to that 3rd position, which is where he was running at the time of his spin. But regardless, he has lost over 9 seconds to Nicholas Johnston. So that battle for second, as quickly as it was happening, it's gone away.
The next closest battle is going to be the battle for 8th place, where we got Danny Roberts going up against Roberto Munoz. These two have been battling out while we were seeing that battle for second. And it looks like Munoz comes in, has a chance to make a pass on Roberts, and then makes a mistake, loses some time, and then he's got to work his way back up to see if he can pass Danny Roberts.
Yeah, there's a 6-lap difference in terms of tires with their pit stops. Rodrigo Munoz was actually one of the last drivers to make his final pit stop. He's only been out on 4-lap tires, whereas Danny Roberts has been out there for 10 laps. So obviously we're seeing the fresher rubber and the faster lap time coming into play here as Rodrigo continues to close in on the 41.
Interesting to just look at the lap times comparatively of that last lap. We'll see what they are now, but last lap it was about 2 seconds difference for Munoz. It looks like he had an issue somewhere. It could have been costly here in probably the first sector where he lost a ton of time. But this time around, Roberts running a 108.1, and Munoz going to be running a 109.2 that last lap.
I think I saw him have a little bit of an issue there in the corkscrew, which, big surprise, that's the corner where the issue takes place, but I think that's where he lost a little bit of his ground there. Looks like he might have gotten a little bit off course and maybe had to slow it up a little bit more than he wanted to.
As we're on lap 52, 9 laps to go. Mitch Welker, he's been looking quick all race long. Stayed consistent and has allowed himself to have such a huge lead on second place right now and has looked so dominant compared to everyone around.
I mean, we had an unbelievable race last week at Twin Ring Motegi. Next week, we're going to be going to the Irish Hills, the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway. That's going to be crazy. And I mean, just look at the possible scenarios we've got going into that race because, you know, Andrew Wood came into this race the points leader, right now running in the 7th position. Second in the standings, Nicholas Johnston running second, and Mitch Welker came into this race 4th, only, I believe it was, let me just double check here, I thought it was about 4 or 5 points out, no, 6 points out. I mean, these guys are all going to be within a blanket of each other, maybe less than 5 points going into a bit of a wild card track in Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we thought Twin Ring was all draft heavy with the way that the cars were running. Michigan, I think, is a lot more draft heavy with especially how quick that you can run around that track and how big and wide it is. You could be drafting with anyone, making your quick, snappy moves to try to pass someone. And we're going to see a lot of snaking going involved there. Next week is going to be a fun race to watch.
Can actually add a 4th dog in that fight as well. Kite Brommersbach, currently 5th in the standings, 7 points out, and running top 5 in the 5th position. So also will be in the vicinity to maybe battle for the points lead next week at Michigan, as Welker continues to lay down the lap times. Although I am noticing the lap times have tapered off a little bit on this run as opposed to the last run, running right now in the low 108s. Is this on purpose, realizing he's got about a 12-second gap back to Johnston?
I mean, the low 108s, it's just whenever you are a little off pace or just, you know, had a little mistake here or there. When you see someone is running the 107s consistently, they're just in a rhythm. If you see a 108, it just means that they're slightly off. Like they made a mistake here or there, ran off course maybe once or twice, like putting a front tire off of the course. But it's not a huge mistake, and I don't think he's really running low. He's just trying to get back into his groove of running the faster laps.
As of right now, there really is no battling for position going on. Closest battle we saw before between Danny Roberts and Rodrigo Munoz for 8th, but that is about 2 seconds separation between those two. So there really is no battling for position going on track. As a matter of fact, I believe that, as it updates here, we've only got 7 drivers now on the lead lap. Points leader Andrew Wood, the last of those. I mean, that's incredible that at a road course, with the number of cars that we had starting this race, that only 7 drivers after 2 rounds of green flag pit stops are still running on the same lap as the leader.
I think it was really mainly the fact that we didn't have any full course cautions and the fact that turn number 6 was eating up so many cars. That's what happened. I think the closest battle that we could possibly see is the battle for second again. Just looking at the times that Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston are making, we could be seeing about a last lap. These 2 cars could be right on top of one another.
It would certainly be really interesting to watch to see just how aggressive Liam Quinn might be with Johnston this time. He will have to pass a lap machine. I believe that is that's
09 of Roberto Munoz.
Yes. Yep, you're right. He's going to have to pass him before he can get up there to second place Johnston. He just now made a pass there on a lap machine, which I think that might have been Cristobal Venezuela. So he is closing. He's within 4.5 seconds. And an interesting thing, too, you look at Mitch Welker in this race. He got the race lead away after the cycling of green flag pit stops and everything, that second round of pit stops. These are the first laps he has led this season. He didn't lead a single lap last week at Motegi, which is incredible to think of with the fact that he ran most of that race up inside the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, it was always looked like it was 2 cars battling up front last week of, you know, the battling of, I believe it was Danny Roberts and Connor Horn at the start, and then it was Andrew Woods, and then we also had Nicholas Johnston battling it out. There were like small battles here and there. Mitch was just up there in the top 5, stuck behind all these battles. He never really had a chance with all the pit stops that happened. He was always stuck 3rd or 5th. Those are the 2 positions he was always stuck behind. So it's good to see him have a strong run here. Thought this race was going to be dominated by Riley Thompson, which it kind of was in the first stint of pit stops. And then we saw Nicholas Johnston get out there in the second stint of this race, until he spun out, had issues with Riley Thompson. Riley Thompson's race ended, and now we're seeing that Mitch Welker got by Johnston under pit road and took the lead and never really looked back from there.
Parts of the track have really played a factor into the outcome of this race. The corkscrew has definitely been one, but pit road the other, because pit road is what led to our first lead change when we saw Johnston get around Riley Thompson for the race lead. And then on the second round of pit stops, the pit strategy by Mitch Welker got him around Nicholas Johnston for the race lead. So really, if you think about it, pit road has been the lead change factor in this race.
It really has. I'm just looking at the lap times right now of Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnson. Liam Quinn last lap ran a 107.4. Nicholas Johnson ran a 108.7. That is almost a second and a half faster. Nicholas needs to just start running low 108s if he wants to just keep second, or we're going to see Quinn catch up to him real quick.
Look at the way that Quinn's attacking the corners here. He's been pretty strong here in 1 and 2. Now that he gets to choose his preferred line, even better there. And the car that he is looking at right ahead of him, that is the 28 of Nicholas Johnston. And to your point, this is with 3 laps to go. I don't think these two, that they're unsettled business, I don't think it's over with. I think they're going to get one more shot at each other here in these final laps.
I thought that last lap was a fast one of a 107.4. He just ran a 107.2 that last lap. Quinn is flying right now, trying to get back up to second place and possibly take second away from Nicholas Johnson.
No doubt driving frustrated, because the incident that happened with him earlier was the fact he was trying to find a way around Nicholas Johnston for second and spun himself out in the process, trying to make the move in what I believe was up in turn 5. No, actually, no, it was in turn 6. So if he gets up here, which it's looking like he's going to in these final 2 laps, what does he do with the 28 this time? Does he do anything differently?
I think he's going to try to do the same thing, keep banging and try to make Johnston just give an opening on the bottom and try to make a move. It seems like every single time he has a chance to take the bottom lane, he just is not able to get onto the throttle because there's just no space for him to do a runoff. You got this chance for a battle for second, and then we also have looks like a battle. Well, there was a battle going on for 9th place with Danny Roberts and the 3 machine. That's going on back there with lap cars having a battle. But I'm wondering, we're running out of laps here. Is Liam Quinn going to be able to be there coming up to this last lap?
Lap 59 of 60, and that last time by, Liam Quinn ran his fastest lap of the race, a 107.374. So, my goodness, talk about saving the best for last in terms of lap times.
And we are now on the last lap. White flags out for Mitch Welker. Having a fantastic race. All he has to do is keep it clean, and he gets the race and the win all done for him. But right now, the battle for second's heating up because Liam Quinn's there.
See, yes. I mean, we'll try and get back when Mitch Welker crosses the start-finish line for the checkers. But to your point, yes, this is the best battle right now on the final lap, and we kind of got to keep the camera on this, see what culminates in these final few corners.
It looks like Quinn just took it a little bit too far outside on turn number 3. We'll see if that affects him here, but he's going to have to make a last corner pass if he's going to be able to do it. And he's got to stay on the track if he's going to get as much speed as he can, as he's right there coming off of turn number 6. Now coming up to the corkscrew.
Yeah, he's trying to run those corners a little bit wider, try and get better straightaway speed, and it's kind of costing him a little bit. Heavy braking zone to the corkscrew. He closed it up to about 2 car lengths.
Mitch Welker is coming around the last lap, last corner. Mitch Welker here, gonna win here at Laguna Seca, coming across the line.
Mitch Welker getting the victory after not leading a lap last week. Look at this, it's side by side as Quinn got to the outside of Johnston, could not keep it there. What a battle for the runner-up spot, but Johnston will hold off Quinn for the runner-up position. Quinn will finish in 3rd. That was crazy off the final turn for sure.
Last corner had to be there, and Quinn just wasn't able again to get onto the throttle. Almost got second back. I mean, he spun out on corner number 6, about 8 seconds back with 10 laps to go, and came back to be there basically side by side for second place. But congratulations to Mitch Welker getting the win here and looking dominant.
No doubt about it. Mitch Welker spent the entire day really up inside of the top 5. He then worked his way up into the top 3 after the first round of pit stops, and then after the issues involving 1st and 2nd, was able to fight his way up to the lead. Stayed out the longest really of any of the front runners, and had those fresh tires at the end, pitting a little bit later than most of his other competitors, and never, ever looked back.
Yeah, someone who stretched out the tires and came out with a top 4 finish. It's Connor Horn. He had issues with his wing on lap 14 and was able to come back and get a 4th place finish. What a great day for him compared to what happened earlier on in this race.
I said with the fact we had the road course yellows, it was going to be very difficult for drivers to stage a comeback if they had early issues. Connor Horn proved me wrong because, we saw him drop back as far as 13th, 14th when he had that issue aerodynamically with that left front wing sticking up there, and actually it was completely missing. And somehow he was able to get pit strategy into his favor. And as you said, comes away with a very solid top 5 run. And it's going to be interesting, the points here between Welker and Johnston going into next week, because the two of them were separated by 3 points heading into this race. And with them finishing 1-2, I don't know who's going to be ahead of who, but I can definitely tell you it's going to be a very slim margin.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to the top 3 racers because there's so much action that happened throughout this race. I mean, you had Mitch Welker, who also had issues on turn 6. He had his front wing issues, and then he had the battle with Johnston and Quinn, and also Johnson spin at the corkscrew and got involved with Riley Thompson. So a lot of things to ask with these front runners when we get up to interviews.
No doubt about it. Looking here at the results, only 7 cars finished on the lead lap. The last of those was Andrew Wood. And you look at a lot of these guys, and a lot of them that finished up here in this top 10 all had issues. I mean, Thomas Brezzi, we saw him have a spin. We've already documented Connor Horn. Liam Quinn had to come back from a spin. Johnston had the spin in the corkscrew. You mentioned Welker. I mean, there's pretty much everybody in this list we can say at one point or another had some kind of an issue here today at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, but I mean, well, this track ate up and spit out so many cars, and it's a good thing that we had so many cars that were able to finish this race fully. But man, so only 7 cars were on the lead lap at the end of this thing. Mitch Welker was running some fast laps there at the end of this race, and so was Liam Quinn.
Obviously, the tough break of the race would probably have to go to Riley Thompson. Led to the early portions of this race, was running in second when Johnston spun out in front of him, made contact, and that sent him back behind the wall. And obviously finishing out of the race in the 16th position. But it's time to now talk with our top 3. Let's bring in the 3rd place finisher, if we can get a hold of him here. Nope, he is not here. All right, so instead we'll bring in the 2nd place finisher. Let's get a hold of Nicholas Johnston. It's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yes, sir.
First off, let's talk about the incident there on the corkscrew just after your first round of pit stops. I mean, what happened there?
Yeah, I just got in. The brakes were a little wonky, and once you lock up the rears there, you're just kind of holding on because you're braking up over a crest there. So you're already about as deep as you can go, and if you start locking up the rears, you're trying to slow down as much as you can and just hold on. And the car got sideways right middle of the track, and I just looked at the TV monitors from Riley's view, and I feel terrible because he really didn't have much of anywhere to go. It was a 50-50 shot. You choose left, you choose right. You think I'm going to keep sliding, the inside's going to open up, and fortunately, he chose wrong, and it sent him right inside of me, ended his race. So I feel bad for that. We're going to have a good race there. I think we had really good strategy. I was just being real simple, split up 3 ways, pit on a 20/40/60, and once we get that floor side pod damage, I basically nursed it until I could get within my pit window, and then I was able to at least finish the race with 1 more stop.
And we know that these cars in particular are ultra sensitive when they have any kind of damage. You mentioned you had that side damage. I mean, how does that affect a car at a road course in terms of handling?
It loses a lot of its downforce. I mean, it doesn't affect the balance so much. You just lose mid-corner speed. I mean, I was upwards of at least a second, if not more, per lap off. So at that point, it's just, damage control. After finishing second last week, I'm pretty well off in the points. So I just wanted to finish somewhere within the top 5, and we were able to do that tonight.
Yeah, Nicholas, it seemed like you really had to defend as best as you could against Liam Quinn at the end there. How difficult was it trying to hold him off? Because it looked like he was getting frustrated just staying behind you.
Yeah, luckily for me, Laguna Seca is one of the harder tracks to pass on the circuit. So I really only had to be worried in 2 spots. Indy Andretti hairpin in turn 1, and I believe it's turn 5, the left-hander. Those are the 2 spots I felt most vulnerable. And with the way the front straightaway goes, it's very easy to defend the inside and force them to the outside. I was able to do that. And then basically utilized any push to pass I had for the run down to turn 5 to try to defend there. And luckily for me, I got in a little deep into 5, and I'm not sure if we hit or something happened. He got on the gas early because he saw I was having a moment there. But Liam spun out and gave me some breathing room where I can just try to run some laps. Looking at the gaps, I knew he was going to be back there at the end, so I was trying to conserve push to pass and try to stay out as far as I could.
You brought up the point that obviously with back-to-back second place finishes, you're going to be situated very well in the points. We look forward to next week at Michigan. I mean, what's the mindset going into a track like that, especially based off the speedway race that we had last week at Motegi?
I think Michigan's going to be a lot different type of speedway race than we saw at Motegi. I think it's a little bit more packish, if you'd say. Everyone's going to be real close. It's going to be a 230-mile-an-hour game of chess, I think. And hopefully we keep our nose clean there and we can up towards the front and continue these string of strong finishes.
According to what we've seen with the finishing results here, the points are going to be close, and according to you, the racing is going to be close next week at Michigan. After your second place run, we're going to turn the microphone over to you and let's do some shout outs here.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys, for broadcasting this, and Fuel with Evan, Adam, Zach, all the guys behind the scenes running this. They do a great job. Got to thank Shell Pennzoil for being on the car. P2, the whole team did great tonight. Kite ended up in the top 5, and of course, congrats to Mitch on his win. We all had our issues, but he was able to overcome them the most and come up on top. So at least a P2 driver won, and we'll go on to the next one and see how we end up.
All right, that's Nicholas Johnston. Back-to-back second place finishes. Maybe next week in Michigan, we'll be interviewing you as the race winner.
Hopefully one day I'll break through and get one of those wins.
All right, good job, man.
See ya.
We do not have third place finisher Liam Quinn on standby, so we will now bring in our race winner, Mitch Welker. Mitch, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, I mean, obviously it was a race, it seems, of keep your car on the racetrack, but boy, you seem to have a strategy going in, and it certainly worked to perfection. Talk about, being able to gain the track position there, staying out those extra laps, and then after that pit stop, you just drove away.
Yeah, it's a very, at least I think it's a pretty well-known thing in this car that it's way, way faster on low fuel, and the tires hardly even wear on the current model, so Liam pitted with like 3 or 4 laps of fuel left, and I just stayed out because I knew I'd be faster. And as you saw, I pulled it like an extra 5 seconds on him. So, yeah. Before that, though, I really had no strat. It got screwed up by me clipping the front wing there on the kink and in the beginning runs. So, got a little messed up there. But at the end, yeah, that was totally a call to just stay out and run it out on the fuel.
We're noticing nearing that second round of pit stops, about midway between the first and the second pit stops, where it was looking like you were running the fastest lap times of the top 5, but you were in the 3rd position at the time. Had there not been the issue with Johnston and Thompson, do you think you had the car to be able to get up there and make it a 3-man fight for the win?
It's hard to tell because, if they hadn't hit each other, they still would have kept battling. So maybe I still would have pulled in a little bit of time, but it would not have been nearly as easy, and it would have been right at the end where I would have been with them because they were both very quick drivers. And again, had they kept off each other, they would have, although you lose time battling, it still would have been quite a fight to try and get back up with them.
Yeah, Mitch, did you ever figure out that this track, was it harder to keep your car on the track, or was it difficult to avoid the live traffic that was around you?
A little bit of both. Start of the race, it was really hard to find a good balance in the car. the setup was just, it just didn't really click with me all week. Or not all week. I didn't have it all week, but you know, in the beginning stages of the race, it just took me a little bit to try and find a balance and try and find a groove with it. Here at the end, I had it pretty well locked down, as you saw, but you know, at the start it was a little tough. And then lap traffic wasn't too big of an issue, to be honest. You know, most of them were pretty respectful, kept out of the way, so that wasn't a problem.
Bring up one other question here. You talked about, you know, having a little bit of issue up there at the turn 6 area. I mean, we saw a lot of other drivers have issues there. Connor Horn had issues. Nicholas Johnson had issues. Now, we tried to basically explain to everybody watching from our standpoint what we thought was causing the issue of drivers digging, especially the right front wing down into the dirt and everything. But from a driver's perspective, what was it for you that causes that to happen?
The turn 6 is the kink, right? The fast kink?
Right.
Yeah, okay. For me, that wasn't the issue. The issue was getting the turn in right so that you clip the curb on the inside and not either plow out or kick the rear out. Because if you turn in too early, you're going to end up straightening the wheel. And then you're going to hit the curb and plow out to the dirt, in which case, yeah, you would dig the right front tire in the dirt, or the right front wing at least. If you turn in too late, then you're going to end up either off the apex, like at least tire width or so, or the rear might kick out on you suddenly, which actually happened to me. I did spin. I don't know if you caught that. I spun out of there because I took the too late of a line there. So it was really, really tough to get it right through the kink. But eventually you just lock it down because you drive it so much and you figure out what's wrong.
All right, well, Mitch Welker, your winner here at Laguna Seca, and coming off a top 5 run last week at Motegi as well. We haven't been able to really, I haven't been able to, my head calculate, figure out between you and Johnson who's going to be the points leader, but we definitely figured out it's going to be less than probably 3 points separating the two of you going into Michigan. So what's the strategy now heading to the Irish Hills?
Road courses are my forte. Ovals not as much, but I'm getting better. So the strategy at Michigan is just to kind of stay alive. For the most part, they tend to be packier races as far as ovals go. So it's just keeping it smooth, keeping it safe, and points were already like quickly calculated by Will, and I am the points leader. I don't know by how much, but I am the points leader, so that's quite good.
1 point. Looking at it right now.
Yeah, so definitely got to give a shout out to all the Project 2 crew tonight. Everyone drove really well. We just work really well as a team. I'm glad we brought on me and Zach. It was just me and Zach last season, but we brought on Nick and Kite and Will and, you know, all these guys, and we just work really well together. So we're getting good results and having a lot of fun.
Well, we threw out a statistic just before you took the checkered flag. You led 23 laps, the most here today. Last week at Motegi, 0. So you got your first laps led here this season tonight at Laguna Seca. We're going to turn the microphone over to you and let you do some shout outs here.
Cool. As you already heard, I did shout out to Project 2, my team. Again, great group of guys. It just makes this all the more fun, and we can bounce strategy ideas off each other. And, you know, that is important in the fixed league. Even, you know, we can't really give setup tips to each other, but during the race, definitely like this, we can call each other in or help each other out with who's on track where and when to pit, etc. So, yeah, got to give a shout out to them. It's just a great team.
All right, well, that is Mitch Welker. He's your winner here tonight at Laguna Seca. Good luck next week at Michigan.
Thanks very much. See you then.
All right, so that is going to do it for our coverage here of race number 2 for the Fuel RaceTrackDesigns IndyCar Series. Sam, final thoughts?
Laguna Seca really gave us some action to watch. I mean, this track really ate up a lot of drivers and spit them out. And Mitch Welker, congratulations on being the survivor of this race. He had a little bit of damage from the track, but was able to survive and luckily finish this thing out.
I know that we were looking at guys like Riley Thompson and Nicholas Johnson as guys to maybe be the favorites to win. But, you know, with the fact that the results and the standings are in from this race, I look here across the board. Mitch Welker led the most laps with 23. He had the fastest lap of the race. He also had the fastest lap average. So that says to me he had the long run speed, which is something you definitely need at these road courses. So no doubt in my mind, probably the fastest car on the track won this race. So congratulations to Mitch Welker. And yeah, the point standings going into next week, we thought they were going to be close. Oh boy, are they ever. 1 point separate Welker from Johnston. Andrew Wood only 4 points back. And then Brommersback and Liam Quinn only 9 points back. Going to a track that we heard from Johnston. He said it's going to be like pack racing. IndyCar's pack racing at a 2-mile speedway. That's going to be crazy.
It's going to be fun to watch. That's all next week. It's going to be a great one to watch at Michigan. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. Hope everybody enjoyed tonight's race here from Laguna Seca. We still have another broadcast that'll be coming up this week. That's going to be on Saturday night. We're going to be bringing you the FTF Grand National Series from Rockingham, so be sure to tune in for that. And of course, as we mentioned, we will be back here next Thursday night to bring you the third race of the season for the IndyCar Series at Michigan International Speedway. But until then, for Sam Dyer, I'm Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast on the